It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, heard all across the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're having a year-end party here in studio. Roger Simon, all-star panelist, is here with us. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. Where's the Don Perignon?
I forgot the champagne.
Yeah, driving in here this morning, I didn't notice any drunk drivers yet.
Not yet. And, of course, E.J. Host is here with us as well. Roger, we are literally, 20 days away. I don't know if we can make it. We got a little curveball coming in with the vote to elect a new speaker, which will happen Friday. We just spoke with Andy Ogles. In essence, he thinks in the end, by the evening of the 6th or the morning of the 7th, that probably Johnson will be speaker. That's the right thing to do, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. And EJ. But EJ,
yeah,
they are tightening down the discipline.
They are.
And the person tightening it down is Susie Wiles.
Susie Wiles.
Tell us about Susie Wiles.
Yeah, so incoming chief of staff for the Trump administration. She has apparently, allegedly, supposedly, being reported that she has told all of the nominees to shut it down. No more social media for you. She basically said, stop posting.
Good for her.
Right? If you have to be approved by the Senate, then you are no longer permitted to speak on behalf of the Trump administration or transition team. And personally, I think it's brilliant.
Until you're approved.
Yeah. In other words, keep your trap shut. And,
that's right.
I wish they said it to me.
They definitely don't say it to me. Anybody on X knows.
Well, I think we all can listen to that. Anyway.
So what's interesting about this, I think this is a smart move. And by the way, Roger, Susie Wiles, you know who her dad was? The great Pat Summerall.
Yes.
The NFL player, the broadcaster. She's just the right chief of staff.
Seems like.
Because she doesn't want to be out front. You remember on election night when Trump basically was declared the victor at like 2 a.m, she came out. He praised her and asked her to say something. She wouldn't say anything.
She declined.
Yeah. This is a smart person.
Yes, no. She knows her job.
She knows her job, not to get out in front of the boss.
Yep.
No. Okay. Yeah.
There's one boss, and his name is Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. That's right. And others would do well to maybe follow that lead, I think.
Now, wait a minute here. With nothing on social media, of course, what about the Doge boys?
Yeah.
Now,
they don't have to be
social.
approved. And I don't think you'll ever get Elon Musk to stop tweeting, right?
No,
that's not going to happen. It's his platform.
He owns the store.
Yeah.
See, the Doge boys, the interesting category, right? Because it's really not a department. That's a fun kind of thing. It's a
consulting agency.
It's an X version of a blue ribbon commission.
Yeah.
Right. Which, blue ribbon commissions have been extraordinarily unsuccessful every other time in history.
Well, this is going to be interesting because the thing about, Vivek is in and out on success. Well, being blunt here, I mean, I like the guy personally, but, he didn't exactly succeed in his medical stuff. However, Mr. Musk is rather unique in that regard.
Right.
I mean, in world history, he's
right.
So, look, the truth of the matter is he's smarter than we are.
Sure.
He's a very smart guy.
Yeah, but
he's also a bit arrogant, and I think humility goes a long way, particularly when there's a movement that welcomed you in. When you were a Democrat 3 months ago, and now all of a sudden you're America first.
But here's the thing, though. Let us be honest. I think that there was a confluence of events that happened after the failed assassination attempt.
Agreed, in Butler.
July 13th, when RFK Jr. endorsed Trump, and then Musk didn't just endorse him.
No,
Musk spent
his cheerleader.
$250 million to get him elected. And, that probably put him over the top. I mean,
Didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt.
Definitely didn't hurt. And it helped him in places that were very strategic, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Pennsylvania
Pennsylvania was huge.
Well, I'm Musk. I'm prejudiced as Musk because I drove over here without driving.
You bought a Tesla. Did you know that, EJ?
Yeah, I've got the new Model 3 with what's interesting about it. It is able to take, which some of the older Teslas don't, even the fancier ones. It takes what's called version 13.2 of the self-drive, and it works. I mean, not since the Model T Ford has there been anything like this. I mean, I said when the guy at the Tesla place, got in the car and said, "Okay, here's how you start it," and he did it with me. I said, "Whoa, whoa," and he put down I was up, in your bailiwick around Cool Springs, and then he pushed the button. And he said, "Where's your address?" And you got your home programmed in. Yep. Okay, goodbye. And I'm going, and pretty much I'm on the freeway that Morgan Ortegas never heard of,
A little
going 80 and passing various cars flawlessly.
Wait, did you just say that Tesla vehicles will break the law for you?
You bet. But here's how they do it. They basically, in fact, they programmed in for me go 5 miles over the limit max, but it meant more than that because it follows the traffic. It was following a bunch of people that were breaking the law at the time. But then, that was, it was local baloney, but as you cross from Williamson County into Davidson County, the speed limit drops, and it drops
significantly and fast.
It's like 55 miles an hour in the 440.
So it obeys it, tells you everything. Also, it tells you if you're not paying attention because there's a camera looking at you.
Yeah.
And the thing comes on. I mean, it is really tech, and it's really fun because I've been driving all my life.
Sounds
right?
terrifying. I'm
like
not sure
all of
if
us
it
have been
sounds
driving
fun at
all
all.
our lives.
You like
right?
the speed and power of this thing too, don't you?
It's a totally different experience.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're in a go-kart and on the freeway.
You know what? I'm going to be a really late adopter to some of that stuff. And you know me, I love my technology. I run a technology company, for Pete's sake. Like technology is my thing. But I also really enjoy my combustion engine. Like, I like the sound of a vehicle. I like that. The
control,
the grit,
the power,
of it.
yeah.
Oh, well, I do too. And I hung on into my little SLK for years because of that. But this is something different, and also the sound system, because it's silent. The sound system is like being in a sound booth.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, you can have Beethoven
Could we
blasting.
do this show? Could we do this show in
You
the
could
car?
do it
I
easily.
bet we could.
In fact,
I think you've offered to do that.
At one point, we'll
right?
try it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Roger
Roger will be driving around Nashville in his new Tesla, and we will broadcast.
And
Roger.
Technically
sound
speaking,
should-
he'll be riding around.
Yeah, I'll be sitting there. I have not yet taken my hands off the wheel.
Look at
there
the
are people
zoom.
who do take their hands
Look
off
at the
wheel.
zoom of Roger driving. Right? He'll be,
Yeah.
and the whole world. We'll invite Elon to participate. I'm sure he will. Right?
All right.
Because he, as Trump does. I mean, Trump listens to this show.
Well,
Obviously, because we had Tim Burchett on yesterday, who at I think 9:33 predicted that Donald Trump would endorse Mike Johnson, and 3 minutes later
he did.
he did. So obviously he listens.
Obviously.
When we come back, Roger, EJ and I want to chat with you about something called unforced errors. Unforced errors
I
by
bet you.
one of the Doge brothers. One of the Doge boys had an
Yeah, I
unforced
know
error.
it is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and more with the great Roger Simon and the great EJ Host. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, All-Star panelist, good friend for many years, Academy Award nominated screenwriter. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Author.
I may have Googled his name.
American Substack. American Refugee Substack, right?
Right.
The very popular American
All of a
Refugee
sudden,
Substack.
yeah.
All of a sudden. Roger Simon, welcome.
Incidentally, in part because of an article, the subject you're going to be discussing, I wrote about, and it was on, they picked it up on Real Clear Politics.
Yeah, that's very good. And of course, our newest All-Star panelist and guest host, EJ Host. EJ will be guest hosting for me on Friday this year. I'll be
All
up in
3 hours.
DC.
Oh, wow.
So
That's energy.
we have a category of things called unforced errors. And as it turns out, Roger, even the smartest, wealthiest people who are our friends occasionally make unforced errors. And I think you wrote about this.
Yes, I did.
Tell us.
Well, that's Vivek Ramaswamy is a very high IQ player, a good tennis player too.
You played tennis with him?
I played tennis with him. And he's also he plays Chopin on the piano. I mean, he's one of these guys that makes you crazy. He does. He's the valedictorian of the valedictorians.
Right.
Anyway, what it is he opened his big mouth about something that's absolutely true, which is that the American educational system is not very good for a lot of reasons, and we need help from abroad to keep up. That was very in favor of the H-1B
visa program.
I basically agree with him, but he should have kept his mouth shut because it would have been fine anyway. I mean, this is the kind of thing that gets, if you look at it realistically, it's the kind of thing that gets negotiated behind the scenes. It comes down to a simple question. Do we desperately need an X category some people, or can we give this to an American automatically? So it's a negotiation.
I
that's
disagree.
all it is.
I disagree with you on a couple
Okay.
of points. First, it wasn't just that he was in favor of the H-1B visa program. He insulted Americans.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I have a big problem with
doesn't
because that shows his arrogance. I also disagree that all of the H-1Bs are needed because the Americans aren't STEM smart.
Oh,
the truth is we have hundreds of thousands of college graduates, and this is from government data, that are in the STEM fields that are having trouble getting jobs post-graduation in those fields.
Well,
and so
I'm not arguing with that.
American-born, very smart, very intelligent people are struggling because it is much cheaper. It's about a third cheaper to hire someone from overseas. And keep in mind, there's another whole layer of this where these businesses aren't always American businesses. They're owned by foreign entities or foreign individuals. And so then they're hiring foreign people to come to America and work in those foreign companies. So there's a lot more nuance to this than just, hey, Americans aren't smart enough to fill some jobs.
There's nuance to it. I'm not arguing with that at all. Although one point I have inside knowledge of from my own daughter, and let me explain this. because of family privacy, I won't say what company, but a company that everybody has heard of, and a tech company. She works in the hiring department, and primarily hiring people overseas. And she said one thing kind of amazing that they don't save money on it because there's so many ancillary fees, and it's become so competitive, and these people know that they're wanted. So that's a kind of a myth in the case of her company, anyway.
Yeah, in the case of her company,
it goes company to company.
They don't pay payroll taxes though. And in many of these places, they also get Tennessee aside, of course, because we don't have income taxes here. But there is an income tax, state income tax in other states, and they can save there also if they move headquarters.
So let me jump in and say this is a very interesting topic to discuss and to resolve. Asterisk.
Yes.
However, and this is where sometimes really smart people do things that aren't so smart. Because Vivek is one of the Doge boys, Department of Government Efficiency, and there is huge support, bipartisan support, for cutting out
for the general idea behind it.
For the general idea behind it, even though it's a blue collar, sort of a blue ribbon panel. But here's the problem: why not focus on succeeding with Doge first?
Exactly.
Before you get into this whole H-1B
I would
thing.
totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I said this is something that could have been handled privately very well.
Could have, would have,
Yes.
should have.
Yeah.
And now...
Well, and it absolutely could have been handled without calling, and I quote, Americans are retarded, they are stupid, they're not smart enough, and racist. Thanks so much.
I missed that tweet, but I'll take you at your word that went out.
The R word was definitely used by Elon Musk.
That
He
was
also
Elon. I don't think that was Vivek.
Vivek said that the American culture is the problem. American culture is not the problem. Traditional American culture is not the problem.
See, that was fighting words. And
Okay,
Vivek, buddy.
well, here's where I
do it.
disagree with that a little bit, and here's what I mean. We are a rich company, and what you see in this country is a little bit of a lassitude that naturally comes with that. I know this is. I know I'm always bringing up tennis on this show for some reason, because it's the only game I play. But I used to be a member of the LA Tennis Club when I lived in LA, right? And there was a guy from Eastern Europe named Slava, who, interestingly, who was one of the pros there, and we were friends, and he would always say to me, the reason the Americans aren't the kings of tennis anymore is that they've won too much and they're tired. And if you look at it, the greatest players are now coming from Serbia and Belarus and places like that. So there's a psychological factor in this that, but not, as I said in my piece, not everybody is Trump that fight.
No,
we can
that's right.
learn from that.
It's a good point. But here, to me, all of this discussion that we're having right now in public, 20 days before Donald Trump is inaugurated.
Stupid.
Terrible distraction.
It is a distraction.
Yeah.
And now really Elon has backed away from this wisely. And Vivek is kind of stuck because he kind of started it, right?
Actually, Elon, being who he is, came up with an immediate solution, giving a percentage percentages and so forth that actually made a lot of sense. I mean, a very quick way of solving it.
I think he got the call from DJT, and he turned around and said, "But we know it's broken."
Way back when.
This is all this stuff I said that was super insulting, and Americans are dumb, but also we know it's broken and it can be fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me go back to something way back when. As an undergraduate at Harvard, my sophomore year, I was in this class seminar taught by Doris Kearns Goodwin. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was in the same thing.
That's right.
And you know what that class was all about? How does something get on the public agenda? Right?
Yeah.
And it used to be, does the New York Times talk about it? Well, now, if Vivek and Elon talk about it on X,
Right.
it's on the public agenda, which means those guys need a little more discipline.
Agreed.
Because now they're not running their companies. They are part of
The big company.
the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
And the big boss is not named Vivek.
Yeah.
Or Elon, as great as Elon was.
And you know what? I think that's damaging to their egos a little bit. I think it's eating away at their egos. They are used to being the top dog, and that's probably why there's an unforced error here. I do think they'll recover. I think everyone will forget about it if they stop talking about it after about a week or so, and we'll start talking about the inauguration. And
I think
and
it's
that'll be
already
that.
topped out.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
The one good thing about the fact that we have a 15-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute
I used to
news
say
cycle.
on Pajamas Media, the politics of the last 5 minutes.
And
Yeah.
you were right.
Yeah.
And on that note, Roger, this is the last time you're here with us this year in 2024.
Oh, the old joke. I'll see you next year.
I'll see you next year.
Right, we're using it 3 days, right?
It has been an absolute delight to have you on this program for the past
Well,
several
a lot
years.
of fun.
And I'm so grateful, honestly, Michael, that you introduced me to Roger. Like, this has been such a fun get to know you.
Well-
and I appreciate it.
What we have here is intellect and humor, a rare combination in talk
In
radio
conservative
today.
radio, for
Yeah.
sure.
Roger, thanks for joining us today.
All right. My pleasure.
Up next, Steve Cortez, the American League of Workers. We're talking H-1B visas.
Of course we are.
Of course. Back after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville. In studio, all-star panelist, guest host, EJ Haas. EJ is going to be guest hosting on Friday. Welcome.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. I have control of the mic. Well, me and Patrick is going to push all the buttons to make sure I stay on
There you
time and
go.
don't mess something up.
On the Zoom Newsmaker line right now, our very good friend, the great Steve Cortez, head of the American League of Workers. Steve, I just read this very compelling commentary that you published, that was published at Real Clear Politics, headline, Populism to Protect American Workers. Tell us about that, Steve.
Michael, yes, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. This article is my contribution to this debate, and I think it's a needed debate on the political right. I think we're having a vigorous, necessary intramural discussion on policy, something the left doesn't do, right? They just dutifully get in line and do whatever the party bosses say over legal migration. Now, there's almost no disagreement about illegal migration, right? All of us on the right believe that we need a zero tolerance policy for illegal immigration to the United States and secure borders. But when it comes to legal migration, there's really a range of opinions. And essentially, this debate that's mostly been online in recent days has really pitted the populist nationalists, and I certainly consider myself to be in that camp, against the more pro-business wing of the MAGA coalition, the more internationalist wing of the MAGA coalition that's been mostly represented by Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. And so this is my contribution to that debate. And to some degree, I'm trying to say, look, here is the solution that works for America, and I hope can satisfy both camps. And that is that, look, worker visas make sense for the country when we are truly bringing in exceptional superstars. That is not what the H-1B program has become at all. As a matter of fact, it's a massive program to undercut American workers and to benefit disproportionately the C-suite executives of the United States. It's a constant flow of cheap labor. It is not at all about rewarding and incentivizing and welcoming to the United States truly exceptional people who are going to massively add to the success of the country. So my solution, which I lay out in the article, is, and I think it's a relatively simple one, rather than trying to micromanage this program that's been so abused by big business, instead, make sure that any business who wants to bring a foreign worker into the United States has to pay a significantly high fee. And I mean that in two ways. Number one, they have to pay an actual fee, a tax, $50,000 at least per worker. And I stipulate half of that should go to the national government, half of it should go to the state in which the business resides. In addition to that, and this is really key, I think, Michael, a very high minimum salary. And that salary should be at least $250,000. And the way I arrived there is that is more than 3 times the median household income of the United States, which right now, according to the Census Bureau, is $80,000 per household. And it should be mandated by law that that number always has to be 3 times or greater higher than the median income. If we were to do that, in other words, if a company says, okay, it's going to cost me $300,000 at least, $50,000 tax, $250,000 minimum salary to bring this person over, then we would know, Michael, that you're only bringing over that surgeon, that is so badly needed in this country, or a computer programmer who's truly astounding in his or her capabilities and is going to do amazing things for the United States while they're here. If we were to establish those kinds of minimums, then I believe that this program actually makes sense. It doesn't undercut American workers. It's not going to be, by definition, a massive program, simply because there aren't that many exceptional people in the world who are worth paying that kind of money for. And to me, this is the solution that I believe will satisfy both sides, the business wing as well as the populist nationalist wing.
So here's the thing about that, if you would. Let's see. We're disconnected.
Disconnected.
I guess I need an H-1B visa person to replace me so that the technology
so that
will
they
work.
can plug the microphone in.
So the one fellow on X went in and looked at all this data, and he did the last 5 years of the H-1B program, and he analyzed the salaries of these folks, and less than 1% of them made over $250,000 a year.
And on average, I think they were about a third less than the average for that particular job. It was something like $70,000 on average, something along those lines.
No, and listen, so EJ, Michael, you're making a great point. Look, and let me be very transparent about this. in a sense, I'm saying eliminate H-1Bs, right? I mean, I am, but I'm saying, but let's leave the door open for truly exceptional people, which is, again, how this was sold when it was passed into law many, many decades ago, okay? So I'm saying, let's just leave that door. In other words, if Elon Musk, if we were to take him at his word, and he literally put this on social media, he said, this is to attract the 0.1%, okay? If you mean that, okay, great. Here's how we make sure that it's only the 0.1% or, the 1.0% is establish these super high minimums. So, I mean, look, you're correct. I am essentially saying get rid of the program. And I'm fine with that, obviously, okay? Because again, I think that we need to prioritize American workers and American businesses and protect them from predatory overseas practices, even when they are developed and when they unfold in concert with American executives. But what I am also saying is to give a nod to the business community and a nod to the immigrants who truly are exceptional, who can truly add to this country. Let's leave the door open to them to come, but it's going to be in a very, very narrow fashion. And by the way, I should also stipulate this. It's not just that they bring the right skills. We also need, and this is obviously hard to gauge on the front end of somebody coming to the United States, but it's not just that they're exceptional in their skills. It's also that they have to love this country. And as best we can determine, we need to use that filter as well. Because I would remind people, for example, the 9/11 hijackers were largely very credentialed. They had engineering degrees. Some of them had advanced degrees in Europe. So it's not just a matter of your skills. It's your skills plus a love of this country. And if we enact those filters, I'm confident that we can still welcome exceptional people while protecting American workers, which always has to be our first and foremost goal. I make the case also in the article, and this is sort of the philosophical side of it, is that we are a country. We are a national family. We're not a company. It's not just about growing the top line. We want to grow GDP, of course, but that can't be our North Star. That can't be the only goal for the United States. It's also about broadening prosperity, about the diffusion of power, both political power and economic power. And what this mass migration has done, both legal and illegal mass migration into the United States, it has helped concentrate power, particularly economic power, among the oligarchs and the credentialed crony elites of the United States who desire a constant flow of cheap labor. But it has completely undermined the working class masses and the upper middle class masses who are primarily displaced by these H-1B visas. The America First agenda has to have an incredibly different goal in mind for this country. So we want a capitalism that works for Main Street. And I believe that my proposal will make sure that foreign workers don't undercut that kind of capitalism.
That's great, Steve. I like where you're going with this. I do have a question, though, to kind of expand on it a little bit. Do you have any thoughts on the foreign-owned companies that are benefiting by the H-1B visa program? You mentioned mass migration, both legal and illegal. Of course, we'd all prefer that we'd spend more time talking about illegal immigration right now, 20 days out from the inauguration. But as far as these foreign-owned companies, it seems that there are quite a few of them that are using H-1B visas to get family members and more people from their home country into the United States.
Yeah, it's a great question. And you're right, by the way, too. Illegal migration has to be the very first priority, right? These issues of legal migration are super important, but first things first, right? I mean, we have a gaping wound that we need to put a tourniquet around. Okay, we need to secure the border before it even really matters, in a sense, what we do with legal migration. But regarding these foreign companies, and here's the thing. Number one, we do want them to produce in the United States. And I think that'll be one of the most effective consequences of tariffs on these companies is what Donald Trump is essentially saying is he's saying, I'm inviting you to come and make the products in the United States, and then there is no tariff. Okay, so for example, in my hometown of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Volkswagen is a massive presence there. And the Volkswagens that are manufactured in Chattanooga, Tennessee are not subject to tariffs. The ones that come from Germany are. So we want them to come. But I would stipulate this, that in terms of bringing then their countrymen over, perhaps their relatives even over, as long as we have these high minimums, make it painful for them. So it's not something they can do flippantly. They're not going to say, okay, I've got an American accountant who's making a good wage but not wealthy, who's making $70,000, $80,000 a year. I'm going to undercut them by bringing in an Indian who can do it for $40,000.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
No more of that nonsense.
Yeah, I think that is exactly right. I want to say one thing, though, a very positive thing about Elon Musk here. I think both he and Vivek kind of stumbled on this one. Unforced errors, right? However, the reality is the major problem in the United States of America since the late 1980s, even earlier than that, has been the shipping of American manufacturing capability to China. That's been a disaster.
Right.
And the mantra has been, we can't make anything in America anymore. Well, guess what? Elon Musk makes rockets. He makes the best rockets in the world here in the United States. He makes really the most sophisticated, complicated automobiles here in the United States. That is hugely important. Your thoughts on that? I'm all in favor of exactly what you're talking about. Tariffs so that we become the same kind of manufacturing powerhouse in 2025 and beyond that we were from 1900 until 1960.
No, agreed. And it wasn't because America lost its innovation or lost its work ethic. It's because of terrible globalist policies. Exactly. And regarding Elon Musk, I want to be clear here too. Even when I disagree with him, I have enormous respect for him, right? What he has done in this country, to your point, in terms of manufacturing, what he has done in terms of just the spirit of this country, which I think is equally important as his tangible benefits, and what he's done with X, with Twitter, is unbelievable. I'm not sure we have the kind of momentous win we enjoyed that we earned on November 5th if we didn't have that free speech platform to communicate broadly and openly and freely in this country. So we all owe him tremendous debt of gratitude for that. But going forward too, I think, again, the important philosophical point here is that we're a capitalist country. We want to grow our GDP, but we also want to do it in a way where we see the benefits are widely dispersed, because we are a country with an economy, not the other way around. The economy exists to serve the patriots and citizens of this country. We are not merely cogs in an economic machine. And if you approach economic policy with that mindset, then you will demand onshoring, that products have to be made here. You will demand that American workers be given priority and that we only bring in foreign workers when it is absolutely essential, or they bring something that is truly remarkable to the table. That's the America First agenda. It's what I hope and believe Donald Trump is going to embrace once he takes office. And again, too, this debate is great. This debate is needed and necessary on the right. This is why we're different from the left. We should all be proud of the debate we're having, but I think we're getting to a place of compromise within the right wing that makes a lot of sense.
Steve Cortez, the head of the American League of Workers, a proud Tennessee resident, living in Chattanooga. Steve, when are you coming here to Nashville so we can have you here in studio?
Yeah, it's been too long. I promise I will get over there soon, Michael. Would love to see you in person, in studio. I'll make that happen, and have a wonderful new year. Happy 2025 to everybody.
Happy 2025 to you too, Steve. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. E.J. Host.
He's terrific.
Well, look,
he makes great
we have so many great people who have moved to the state of Tennessee. E.J. Host.
I know many.
Steve Cortez. And 30 some odd years ago, yours truly.
Yeah.
And Roger Simon moved here like 6 years ago.
Yeah. Escaped California.
And our great producer left Taxachusetts. When we come back, we'll hear the summary of the year, or whatever she wants to talk about, from E.J. Haas.
I got a tech update for you.
Oh, tech update. Here we come. Back after this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall and Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. In studio, E.J. Host. E.J.,
Yes, sir.
not only are you a guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, not only are you an all-star panelist, you are a technologist, and you have a technology company.
I do. So I have getfoundeverywhere.com. Basically, what we do is help businesses who rely on local foot traffic make a bigger presence online to be able to get found by the people who will actually walk in the doors of your business.
Yeah, brick and mortar stuff.
Yeah. A little different than SEO for your website. If you're not selling things online, it's a lot different.
Get people walk in the
SEO.
door.
Yep.
What's the name of the business again?
Getfoundeverywhere.com.
Getfoundeverywhere.com. Well, we have found you today, and you have a tech update for us.
I do. So I'm a bit of a tech news junkie. I'm not as smart as Elon Musk. I don't code or anything like that, but I do pay attention to the technology news.
Are we, if we don't code, are we, lesser than?
I don't think
these
so,
days?
because thanks to AI, nobody will have to code
You don't
later.
have to-
Eventually, we'll just say, "Hey, AI, code this.
Code
for
this
us."
for me.
So my update today is kind of scary. Most tech updates
Most tech
are
updates are these days.
They are. So just learned that Kroger, very popular grocery store,
Oh, I know where
especially
this
here
is
in
going.
Tennessee. Do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's something called surge pricing.
Yes.
Surge.
When I say yes, I mean I've heard about it and I hate it. But go ahead.
There's nothing to like about it, quite honestly. It's a way to get around like price gouging, right? Which we all know if there's a natural disaster or something like that, it is against the law to raise your prices because the demand is higher during a natural disaster, things like that. Okay. Well, Kroger, not the first company to do this, but the first one that we've seen kind of talk about it openly like they are, has introduced this AI-powered surge pricing. And here's the kicker. It is using facial recognition technology
What
to
could
do it.
possibly go wrong?
Well,
Everything.
almost everything. So imagine you tend to go into Kroger every week or so and you purchase the same types of things. Maybe it's time to buy the milk and the eggs, whatever. So little by little by little by little, your face will be recognized. Maybe you're paying whatever we pay for eggs these days, depending on the brand. It could be $2 or $7, right? But imagine you're paying $3.50 for your eggs, and then maybe next month, based on your facial recognition, they say maybe it's $3.52.
This is
Now maybe
specific
it's
to you?
Specific to me. With facial recognition, this is what they could do. Now, Kroger has denied it. They've said, no, we're not doing that.
To change a price based upon who the individual is sounds to me like it's violating any number of laws.
It has to, because it would be
pricing.
discriminatory,
discriminatory pricing against, people that look like me or people that look like you.
Here's how they're going to get around it. Because it is not human beings programming the AI to do this thing, and AI will just do it on its own, they're going to say, well, it's not discriminatory because it's...
Well, they're programming discrimination.
It truly is. They're not going to be able to get around it eventually, but until the laws catch up, what harm can be done?
Here's the thing. The laws are going to be so far behind the technological development. And if you look at like big issues in the law, a new rule, a new principle, it takes a whole lot of time for a new rule to come into law.
Exactly
Years.
right. Yeah,
2,
culture
3, 4
always
years.
supersedes the law.
And right now, we are in a land where AI technology is moving forward at an exponential pace.
Incredible pace.
Here's the thing on AI. I think AI is here to stay. We can say, I don't like what it's going to do, and which is probably true, but that doesn't matter because it's here. It's technology.
That's right.
And so we have to dive in and we have to work at making it not discriminatory, not a disaster in real time.
What's missing is an ethics discussion or morality discussion, right? Like where does the ethos happen with AI? What we need, quite honestly, is the people who are developing this technology to put their own guardrails on it just based on the good of humanity. Now, to be fair to Kroger, they have said we're just testing some things and whatever. That's all fine for right now, but the fact remains that the technology is available and there's nothing in law to stop people from doing it. So we are relying on the ethics of people.
And the law is going to move too slowly.
Exactly.
And well, on that
on that happy note, what a way to end 2024.
But appropriate, because, I mean, you look at all the technological advances we've seen in this past year.
Yeah.
It's going to be even more in the next year. So we're going to have to be on top of our game.
That's right.
But the good news is we have E.J. Host here.
I'm here to follow that technology news for you.
And you will be guest hosting on Friday.
From
9 a.m. to noon.
3 whole hours in charge of the mic. Yeah.
You'll do great. Well, thanks so much for joining us today,
Thank
EJ.
you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And up next, we'll have the Tennessee Bonus Hour. Tom Pappert will join us on the Zoom Newsmaker line with all of the changes in laws in Tennessee. Got some illegal alien and criminal activity updates, as well as what happened in the Covenant case in 2024. What's going to happen in 2025. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. She's AJ Host. We'll be back after this.